Hi, everyone. We are once more joined by Scott Snyder, who is working on so many things. Absolute Batman, the DCKO. Also, there's crossover things in the works. So we have a lot to discuss. So how are you?
I'm good. You said that, and I was like, "Wait, there's crossovers?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm very good. I'm very good." It's been a crazy summer, as you and I were talking about. We had all three boys at home, so I'm sort of like mourning the end of summer. And then, most parents can relate, I think I'm also like, thank God they're back in school, as well. It's like the twin feelings of like, oh, I miss summer, and then like also, thank God
I don't
you have
know.
like the
I
house
find
is
it too
quiet.
quiet. Yeah, I was just
It's
saying, like, it's too quiet.
I know. I was like, is that my cat? You can hear the cat? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely very quiet. It was a nutty summer because absolute like took off in a way we did not
hmm
expect, like as a line. So we got to really go celebrate that bunch of conventions and
hmm
that kind of stuff. So I tried to stay pretty active promoting it, and between that and baseball games and dadding generally, it was a very blur of a summer. And then they I just realized, like, I thought we had plenty of time for KO, but because of
hmm
the covers are these acetate covers that are really
hmm
cool. Like, it looks like this and says KO, and you see the image through it, and then when you open it, you
Okay.
see the full image, and all the covers of each issue are like that. It's pretty cool. Design department. But the FOC, the final order cutoff, is earlier than it normally would be. So it's like a week from Monday. It's the 8th. So it's like, oh
Oh,
my
wow.
God,
So that's
I got to go
fast.
out. I got to go talk about it because I'm like really excited. But I thought we had an extra 2 weeks, which, I usually always like reserve that period for like
For
talking a lot
hype
about this stuff.
and
So this is the
like,
first, yeah, but this is the first and really only thing right now I have set up. So I was like, every spoiler, everything you want to know, I'm here for it. So yeah.
I was trying to read up on the little bit you have talked about it, beforehand to kind of see what the headspace is like. And I saw that you were saying that you've been planning this basically from the get-go. So what was it that wanted to lead towards this kind of like let them fight kind of event?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, what it really is Josh Williamson and I kind of planned out this saga with editorial and other creators
hmm
back in 23, and it was like it'll have three kind of touch points, right? So all in, it's the Dark Side Saga, and the first beat of it, the opening shot was all in, where
hmm
Darkseid decides he's got to become something bigger and tougher than he's ever been, and so he dies and reforms himself in the Absolute Universe, where he's
hmm
been incubating ever since. And that's why that universe is kind of grittier and the heroes are
Bleaker at points.
underdogs. Yeah, exactly. And so then at this point in the we're at the midpoint now, so it's been a year plus. And the idea is that right now he's grown far more powerful, way faster than anyone expected. And so he is ready to come over and claim this universe, as he claimed the Absolute Universe. And so we wanted to do something that would be the hero's first real kind of encounter with him, that would show them how impossible it will be to beat him, and set the stakes of this kind of third beat, which will come in 27. But for now, like, what we wanted to do as a midpoint was something big and celebratory and fun, and that as like kind of a big thank you to everybody for supporting DC and supporting all these books so aggressively over the course of the last year. So it was always planned as kind of like a midpoint that we wanted to be like this jet fuel for the line. Because what it is like we were like talking about it a year and a half ago, and it was like, what have we not done that would be really fun for the middle? And it was like, well, we always do fight comics. And it was like, well, do we though? And then we looked, and we were like, Marvel has done Avengers vs. X-Men and Secret Wars and Civil War, but we don't do them. We haven't done one.
hmm
So then it was like, well, why not? Why not do like what Superman versus Wonder Woman versus everybody versus Batman versus whatever? And then it became like, well, look, it's really stressful times for everybody. Do you want to do that over like issues? Like, do you want to do a story that's really gritty about like they split over something,
Like
that's
an infinite
happening?
crisis type thing.
Yeah, or like crisis, Civil War, where it's like heroes
hmm
have to make a decision about, do they register or not, and so they
Which
all fight
side?
over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were like, no, I think we're more in the mood for like, is there a way to make it much more bombastic and sort of fun. And so
Mhm.
what we realized a year ago was like, well, Darkseid has become this huge god of conquest in his universe. And the way he did that is the apocalypse itself. I was just writing this part. So it's like, I was just writing this
It's fresh.
explanation, which is like, I'm like, how do I keep it to one balloon? One balloon. So I'm trying my best. It's a big balloon, but the idea is like in the original Kirby, Darkseid was just a scientist god named Uxas, and
Mhm.
he sought conquest. He had ambition to conquer, and he went to Apocalypse. And the machine that is Apocalypse, this crazy Kirby infernal machine, changes
Mhm.
him sort of into the dark side that we know. And what it runs on and what he runs on is conquest, the energy, Omega energy, the energy of
Mhm.
endings and control, right? And so the idea is he's always wanted to make Earth apocalypse. That's his
Mhm.
whole goal. So in his universe, he has done that. There is a heart of apocalypse at the center of Earth, and
Mhm.
Earth is funneling all this energy to Darkseid. And at the beginning of KO, he comes over here and he comes in through the end of time, and he's moving his way back through the
Mhm.
future. Which is why, if you've been out there reading Superman and a lot of other books that have showed the Legion and all of this kind of
Yeah.
stuff ending, then you'll see that's where the story is headed. So
Mhm.
Darkseid is making his way back from the future, and as he's doing that, a heart of apocalypse is forming at the center of our Earth already, which is why there have been these incidents in Aquaman and other books of
Mhm.
parademons. And so what the heroes realize is, well, if this thing, this heart of apocalypse, is what made Darkseid what he is, maybe it can make one of us into something as powerful as him.
Mhm.
And so what they realize though is the heart of apocalypse, it only changes it. Basically, it will only change someone into a dark side, and Darkseid's become this like, huge version of himself called the King Omega. It will
Mhm.
only do that if you're worthy of it, like Thor's hammer. But the way you become worthy is you have to be like him. You have to only care about conquering. You have to show no
Mhm.
mercy. You have to be all competition, all badass. Like that's it.
Mhm.
And so they're like, well, if we go to capture it, if we cut it off from him and then we go to capture it and one of us captures it, it will turn us into the thing that could defeat him, because otherwise we have no chance because he's so big and powerful.
Yeah.
So what it is it's a tournament to capture the heart of Apocalypse, Darkseid's heart, and transform into something that can possibly stop him. And the heart of
Mhm.
Apocalypse, what it does is it creates these levels outside of itself that you have to move through to get to it. And each
Mhm.
level is a new test. So some of the levels, like, I don't think we announced this yet, but like December is just fight. It's like the
Yeah.
third level is literally like gladiator. It's called All Fight Month. So it's just gladiator battle, like not, and we'll have all these fun books that are like, that are like this one versus that one and this one, and
Mhm.
I'm writing one of them, and we won't give away who's fighting whom, but it'll be
Mhm.
like one-on-one surprises. And
Mhm.
but other levels, like the first level to decide who are the big champions, is like a race across this apocalyptic arena to see who can make it across with these huge 400-foot titans
Mhm.
just smashing everybody. And and when Superman like goes to help somebody, the Omega energy goes down. You can't do that. You have to
Mhm.
be, if you don't be merciless and competitive,
You're not
the
gonna
fire
win.
pit, and you won't win because the fire pits won't fill enough to give you the power to defeat Darkseid. So it's kind of a tournament where it's like the only way to save the world is to be merciless within the tournament itself.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of fun, and it's like a big fight to the death, but it's not gory. It's like not, it's no edgelord stuff. It's when you die, and it is violent. Like you do die. Like at one point, one of my favorite beats is like in issue 2, Joker gets the Adam's belt at one point, and he gets like 200 feet tall, and he starts eating
Mhm.
everybody, just like chomping on them. But like it really is this kind of insane competition that's meant to be like, Saturday morning cartoons on steroids, where it's like who would win.
Mhm.
And at its core, it has a really personal message, right? Like Superman, it's a Superman story. He's the main character,
Mhm.
and he's really reluctant to do this. Whereas like Wonder Woman and Batman are kind of like, look, we got to do it, Clark. Like this is the
A
way
bit
we
more
win.
pragmatic about it.
Yeah, they're like, you got to become this thing, but you become this thing you don't want to be,
Mhm.
to defeat him. And once he's defeated, we'll bring everybody back, and everything can go back to the way it was. But he's kind of reluctant because he's like, it's never what he does. He never like lets loose, and like just like,
Mhm.
he's always restrained. And so some things happen in the event, like with villains and all this, that then
Mhm.
there's a tournament that allow him to like sort of take the handcuffs off. And that's a really fun moment too. And he's like, all right, then,
Mhm.
this isn't about like saving cats from trees. Then like, that's what you want. You want Superman with the brass
It's a
knuckles with
it's a living
suns
in a
in
world of
them.
cardboard kind of breakdown.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's really that's the fun of it is as for it really is sort of like a big tournament, superheroes versus superheroes, final four bracket. And again, like I want it and Josh really wants it to be something that fans and retailers like get to go to the store and discuss and have fun with and talk about and wait, this one beat that one and this one died but came back and what's this and all
Those
that
kind of
kind of
more
fun.
classic conversations of, like,
Very
who would
classic.
win, like, power scaling, all those kind of things.
Yes, and there's power scaling, and there actually was it was originally called WW, like who would win. That was DC who
Mhm.
would win, and then they thought it was like too much like World War III or whatever, and so yeah, it was just sort of like DCKO. KO stands for King Omega, and King Omega is what Darkseid has become and what the
Mhm.
heroes are trying to become here
I'm
in
glad you
this
said
thing.
that because I assumed it was Knockout when I saw
Well, it is,
I mean,
it is.
also.
It is knockout in that like it's fun because you make knockout jokes and like there's a lot of knockout references in the story. But again, it's I always love doing events like metal and death metal, and I know people they can be too bonkers for some people, and I
Mhm.
certainly I can get like way out over my skis sometimes with them. But I mean, the fun of them isn't the thing that I'd really impress the people too is like for me, the fun of an event is it's kind of a statement about what you're embracing at this moment
Mhm.
at DC, and it's really as valuable as the excitement it generates for what's come after it.
Mhm.
So if you do an event and then there's nothing there, it doesn't do
Yeah.
anything except make a statement. That's fine. But my goal at this point, at my role at DC now, consulting, is to do an event that will get people into stores and then see. Like this is my plan is the day it comes out
Mhm.
in October at New York to announce some of the awesome books rolling out. I've been on the other side, and I
Mhm.
think we're going to do that. And then to be like, see, this is what we're doing these things for, is to get you in the stores, to get you having fun, and then if you can keep it going with us, we're going to give you some awesome stuff on the other side and brush up some of the books in our
Mhm.
line that we think could use a little more energy, all kinds of fun things. So 26, I really think will be our best year. We're being really additive. Like we did really well in 25. So
I've noticed that there's been a lot of tightening. The books are getting a lot more interconnected together. There's a lot more interplay between them, and there's definitely a lot of connections that if you're reading all of them, you'll pick up on, which I think is a lot of fun. Have you seen people responding to that or noticing it?
yeah, it's funny because there are really two kinds of fans. Some fans really don't like interconnectivity. And I think that's one of the reasons the Absolute line has been a lot of fun for them. Is just that it's so standalone. We are starting to interconnect those characters there. Like,
Mhm.
Wonder Woman and Batman meet for the first time in January. So you have a place to go, though, that's really sort of individuated titles. But with the main books, I think we try and do these things where we give everything a lot of room. And then
Mhm.
around the time an event, you start to kind of come together and then you go back out into
Mhm.
your new statuses. So for me, my role is to look at the line with editorial and with creators to fly out there and be like, what books are fans really loving and retailers
Mhm.
really loving and what books are kind of struggling and how do we talk about that without it being a horrible negative conversation, like how
Mhm.
do we be realistic, because not to get too inside the beltway again, but like there are a lot of years, like I've seen, there are a lot of years at DC and a lot of just times in other, like in general, I think teaching, and you see a
Mhm.
bad version of that sometimes where like things aren't going well and people get fired immediately or books get canceled or there's
Mhm.
chaos. And I think, the way that we're really trying to build the community and the culture at DC now is to take a moment and be like, okay, look, what are the strengths of this book that maybe isn't performing as well as we'd
Mhm.
like it to? Is there a way to focus in on those? Is what's kind of not working? And can we have a conversation with the creator and with editorial about
Mhm.
holistically, like these are the things that are, you might want to bring
Yeah.
up or bring down. Is there a book that speaks more to you than this one? We're not, so is there something you think you might So
work
it's
better
been
with?
really,
Like,
yeah, exactly. So
without
March,
getting, like, too inside, like, have there been any that you've been able to turn around like that?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think
Mhm.
you'll see in March, like it's more the creators. I mean, I think part of the freedom is going to them and making them know like nobody's looking to like fire them or be like this
Yeah.
book isn't working, and it's more a constructive conversation about like, look, like why are you doing some of the things in this book that feel off for you, and the things you seem to
Mhm.
like to do, or what are you, that. And when you start to suss it out, a lot of the time what it comes from is like just a desire to make a book your own, and over being overzealous and maybe throwing out some of the baby with the bathwater for like throwing out core elements without realizing you're doing
Mhm.
it. Sometimes I think it can just be like you don't realize how slowly you're telling a story in a
Mhm.
market that demands a lot more
Rapid.
urgency
Yeah.
than it used to,
Mhm.
and so it's those things. And I've been going to DC and doing a bit of a class too about like some of those fundamental things. Like the market has really changed. It's a really
Mhm.
fascinating moment in comics where
Mhm.
it feels like, I think I talked to you about this last time, but I mean it's really ramped up where things are really overperforming that embrace some of the fundamental joys of monthly comics again.
Yeah.
Like it's not a cultural thing, conservative or
Yeah.
not. I mean, what I mean is going back to the things that make comics really fun, even in a structural way.
Yeah,
Like
like A and B and, like, those kind of,
exactly.
fundamental things. Yeah.
Yeah, and doing like big cliffhangers, making sure that
Mhm.
because a lot of it is like we swim in this miasma of streaming all the time. I just feel like we've become so used to that mode of storytelling, almost in this kind of insidious way over the last like 5 years, where all of us consume so much streaming that
Mhm.
you forget as a writer coming into this medium that it's almost opposite. Like, because you're like,
Mhm.
oh, well, there's episodes, there's issues. But when you're doing streaming, like you buy your service, so you have a subscription. So you don't have to buy every episode as it comes
Mhm.
out, and you don't have to wait a month between them. So the priorities of that storytelling are really decompressed a lot of the time, and
Yeah.
they keep you and they're about telling a novelistic, immersive thing
Mhm.
a lot of the time, and with comics, it's like, no, you got to remind people what happened last month
And
so
why
they
they
don't
need to
feel
come back.
dumb. Yeah, remind them every episode, every issue, why this hero is awesome. And and give them a what the fuck moment where they're like,
Mhm.
and now the fun is talking about this for a month and waiting to see what happens next month. And then also like give them a cliffhanger, and make sure above all that the book has a purpose and a reason to exist that says this is where you
Mhm.
can get this thing you can't get somewhere else.
Mhm.
And you see books across the landscape re-embracing those, from Transformers and Universal Monsters and GI
Mhm.
Joe and the ultimate line at Marvel, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate a lot of the ultimates, like a lot of books that are really suddenly overperforming, you see going back to those basics. And
Yeah.
again, it's not about what kind of story you could tell. You could tell a story that's a space soap opera, or you could tell a political story, you could tell whatever, but it's embracing the things that make monthly comics fun as opposed
Mhm.
to ignoring them because they seem like a hassle, like, do I really have to do a recap kind of thing. And but when you look at it, if you do a recap subtly, it actually makes the reader feel joy because they feel smart for, even though, because you're not telling them, what you forgot, you're just easing
Mhm.
it in, and then they feel like, oh right, I remember that. Oh yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
So it's all these things that make comics fun. Seeing things in this market do much better than people
Mhm.
expected. Like again, with the absolute line, like every single book has gone back to print, which is, like beyond any imagining we had.
Yeah.
And Absolute Batman's like a million plus at this point with all the
Mhm.
things it sold. That those numbers are unfathomable, but trying to look at it analytically and be like, okay, you can do that stuff. If you don't, and you do
Mhm.
decompressed storytelling, if you kind of let it go for 13, 14 issues without, you assume they're going to be there, you also see
Mhm.
the opposite. You see a lot of books struggling. Like it's a really competitive moment in the market, especially like creator owned, a lot of stuff where you see a lot of books going down pretty fast. So
Mhm.
it's a fascinating moment, and that's why with KO, the point is we want you to have fun, get in there, feel like it's what the hell is happening in this. because the stuff we're launching on the other side is all meant to get you even more excited about DC and make you feel like we're hearing the things you like, we're trying new things, we're investing in creators that you're excited about, and we're bringing back people that you love and characters you love, and we're brushing up the main line in places. So you will, like, again, it's not me fixing anything, it's creative conversations between editorial and creative, and but you will see a lot of books like in March sort of just doing new storylines, some taking different tacks from where they were. And that's all a testament to the creators really wanting to build the best stuff. And you will see the addition of some really awesome books as well. Like an initiative. We're going to do an initiative where we get to,
Can you tell us a couple that might be in the pipeline?
I'd get in so much trouble. I can't. I'll do it really soon. But I'll tell you this much. Like what I did was we become really close with the retailer groups over the last like 3 years, me and Josh. And we go to them and we go to fan groups on like Reddit and that. And sometimes I have my assistant do it so it doesn't look like me asking. But like we try and figure out what characters are the ones that you think really are missing and could use good books and that. And so a lot of it is designed around what characters fans really want to see have a book. And I'm excited because they're all characters I really love. So, and there's a big variety. So there's like badass, we're coming straight for you, like, you know, that. And there's like books that are a little more a little more gentle than other books. So it's all over. But the goal is to really look at it and be like, what are we missing? What do we want to do? What are creators and fans excited for? And not be algorithmic. I mean, that's the shit that I hate, is like, you know, what things like what
you
things
can't chase it, because if you end up chasing it, you end up with something incredibly generic, because ultimately when you're appealing to something so wide, then that's how you end up with just, you know, I was in a silly group for nail polish years ago where we would vote, and then it got super huge, and then all the winners were always just generic things like jewels and months of the year, and like you didn't end up with anything interesting anymore, because when you are looking to try and appeal to everybody, you just can't. And one of the things, like one of the things I've noticed is people are saying they feel a lot of Silver Age energy coming out of DC at the moment. There's actually that line in Superman this week where Superboy Prime actually just flat out says it. Is that something that is intentional? Are you looking to that era specifically?
Yeah, I mean, well, for Superman, Josh is such a huge fan of Silver Age, and I think the Silver Age to me embraces the lunacy of comics, which is a lot of fun. Like you have this canvas with comics. You have a budget that's unlimited. You have a cosmology that can be complicated and weird and fun and Kirby-esque. And I mean, KO is definitely in that wheelhouse, and you see it succeeding with like Superman the movie in that way too. That has a real embrace of Silver Age kind of wackiness and craziness as well. So I think a lot of the fun right now is like people wanting comics to feel like big comics in that way, regardless again of what tack they take in terms of what they're about. I think the scale and the scope and the grandeur and the fun is sort of like really in demand. You know, that level of like Galactus and Fantastic Four and all of that. People are ready for those concepts that are sort of pushing the boundaries of even super realism. So yeah, I mean, KO, literally this part that I was writing, I was like, so wait, you know, I think my favorite line from Death Metal was like when they talk about Wonder Woman is talking about the plan, and she's like, wait, so we have to fire nth metal through the rock of eternity to get to the dark multiverse, and that's the plan. And Batman's like, either that's the plan or you're having a stroke. You know what I mean? And it was like, yeah, that's kind of the level of ridiculousness you want if it has a heart. And this one has a heart. It's really about Superman realizing that deep down people want him to take control, and they want him to fix all these things and bring everybody back better and do all of this stuff. And that in a lot of ways, the universe has been pushing him in that direction too, with some of the cosmic events we've done. Like it ties into Doomsday Clock and ties into Dark Crisis and other things, where Superman is positioned as the center of our universe, where when the metaverse theory that Jeff put forward, that when Superman's story changes, everything changes. And I feel deep down he's constantly rejecting that role of being central to anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this story's a lot about that. So it has a heart, is my point. For all of it's like he goes in there, literally he's wearing brass knuckles with little suns in them to kick your ass. So it's like, but it is like a big, it is really a big sort of heartfelt like ode to Superman for me. Because I've done an event. I did the metal was Batman, death metal was Wonder Woman, and now I get to do Superman with Josh, and he's
so rounding out the Trinity.
Rounding out the Trinity. Next time it'll be like Detective Chimp or somebody, but
get really obscure with it.
I know, right? Ambush Bug actually, like, I feel bad. He's like the first to die in the tournament. Lobo like pushes him into a fire pit when nobody's looking, when they're running across this thing. Actually, no, somebody else is the first to go in it, which is it was actually like an argument with DC where they were like, I don't know, fans might be mad about that. And I was like, I think it's fun. I say we do it.
Whoever is first, like nobody wants to be first. So.
Nobody wants to be first. And when you die, you like die, and then you vanish in like an apocalyptic, flame. And then your statue goes on the Hall of Losers, like the thing where you're out of the competition. So there's like a whole thing of like, chorus of like you're a statue of who you were. So there's some dignity in it. You're not like left there just smushed, But yeah, there's one guy that's really funny because it's like as the race starts, this character is like, "Don't worry, Superman, and he's like saying we got this and this, and like he's just out like before they even say go. So it's kind of fun. I mean, again, like I really hope people like it as much as we like it. Like, I'm a little worried that they're gonna be like, but again, the real purpose of it again is like we love doing these things and trying to say like DC is about these priorities right now. What we've really been working on over the last few months is getting some books together and some storylines together for the main line, and for the and we're going to announce a new Absolute book, Beyond Absolute Green Arrow, for New York. So we're really being additive. Like what I'm really proud of with DC, and I'll say this, and again, like you buy KO, and we're doing a blind bag program, which I don't know anything about. I'm just learning about like what those are. So, and the due date for that is Monday. So if you like blind bags, there's going to be all this cool stuff in them. Like Greg Capullo did a cover that, is available in a special form in it. And then one of the variant artists is doing sketches, and we have all these sketches hidden in them. So again, like you should tell your store to order blind bags, but doing something that really gets you guys excited so that on the other side we can be additive. And what I'm proud of with DC is that they made a lot of money last year. Like DC Comics did well. Like it was really cool to see with Hush and Absolute, and now with Batman #1 coming with Fraction. That's a really good book. They hit like beyond what they expected budgetarily early in the year. And so instead of just being like, we're putting that away and being really thrifty, they're reinvesting in a lot of the books and trying to add books and trying to take a swing on things that are still a little edgy and out there. And some of them that we're going to announce, I think people will be like, whoa, that's a swing. And some of them will be like, oh, that's totally what I've wanted for a long time. That's right up my alley. And that's the fun. They're really being creator forward. Jim was just out here yesterday, Jim Lee. And, I was kind of dreading it. No, sorry, Jim, if you're watching, because I love Jim and I was like so excited. But like Jim, he like coming out of the city. I live 2 hours outside the city. So I was like, is he coming here to tell me something awful? And it wasn't that at all. He was like coming out to celebrate where things are and to talk about plans. And it was great. The feeling is really good. And the goal is to just keep it going. Like, I'm no longer worried if you don't like the event or you don't like it, it's going to be critical of me. I don't care about that. Like, I have enough stuff at this point that like, I am who I am. So I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't like me at all. And some people that like the writing or whatever. So Josh and I aren't worried about like, oh, I hope you like the event so that our cachet does anything. But I'm really, really want the event to do well so that it creates fuel for the stuff we're doing on the other side. Because I think the better we do, the more risks we can take creatively, the more things we can try. And, by the time we get to that third story point, like the big finale of it in 27,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you guys stay with us through this and support this part, that part's going to be insane. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
nuts. So I don't know. That's the fun. It's a good moment. It's a really good moment at DC. I keep waiting for a shoe to drop, but everyone's been really good. Like everyone is supportive, and you know, like it's a really
You know,
healthy environment, I
on the
think.
fan side, the energy has been pretty good too, like, purely anecdotally, like, when I managed to get out to a comic store, which isn't often, like, people are actually approaching me and talking to me about, like, "Oh, I'm reading Absolute Green Lantern, and, like, I wanna learn so much more about the lore and the history and all of that kinda stuff," and, like, "Who's Alan Scott?" and all of those things. I'm like, "That's really cool," because there is all of that to go back into, because when people really start to get into it, I find that they don't just stay in one place, and they kind of
Yeah.
explore all over, and that's really exciting. It's like, you know, like a rising tide lifts all ships kind of, energy, which is
Yeah.
good.
That's a great way of putting it. I mean, that's the hope, you know, and it's the biggest surprise with Absolute beyond just the sales itself is
Mhm,
how many I've been to a bunch of cons in the last like, you know, 6 months to like
yeah.
promote and try and be out there supporting all the books. And also because like I have a kid going to college. So all of a sudden I'm
Mhm.
like, I gotta go to these cons and sign some books. College is really expensive. And by the way, anyone out there, way more expensive than I thought it was. But anyway, but one of the nicest things was people coming up to us and talking about how Absolute has been their introduction to comics, and
Mm,
they start discovering a lot of amazing books in continuity and classics and all of this through that. And that was always
mhm.
the hope, you know, is that it's a gateway drug to like, you know, even better or more, not a bad analogy, drugs, but don't do drugs, kids, but like a gateway to more amazing landscapes and worlds of
Mhm,
comics. So yeah, it's been a good time. I'm not blowing smoke either. Like I don't go out and shill for stuff I'm not excited about. That's what I
mhm.
mean. Like, you know, like so I wouldn't be out here talking about DC and saying I really like it if I hated it. Like when I was unhappy at DC, I didn't try and go out there and say, I mean, I loved what we were working on, so I was always
Mhm,
excited about that. But I didn't go out there and be like, it's such a the environment and the culture and this stuff, like the way I
mhm,
try and do now and where we're headed and the things we have planned and all of that. That's new. So
mhm,
yeah. So I hope people feel that it's sincere because it is
mhm.
genuinely from Josh and me and editorial and the creators, you know.
No, it seems like people are responding to it from what I see. I mean, of course, you'll always have people who don't like certain things. That's the norm and it's to be expected. But what is exciting is like you're seeing the return to some of those, like we were talking about earlier, more classic conversations, not just in terms of like who would win, but also like, oh, which one's better and that kind of thing. And sometimes people look at those conversations and they can be like, ooh, don't have those. But those are exciting because it means that people are engaged. It's like, oh, well, they're engaged with
Yeah.
all of it. And that means that they're interested in like what's going on all along. That kind of conversation, in my opinion, is a good thing because it denotes interest in everything that's going
100%.
on.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's like watching my kid. It's been fascinating because my like I was telling you off
Mhm,
the air, but like my 18-year-old is like very like straight out of central casting teenage boy. He likes, you know, like he's very like, all right, bro, you know, whatever. And I love it that and I
mhm,
love him and you know, but it's I was a nerd and I was, you know, I was
mhm,
always like, and my middle son is much more, Emmett is much more sort of in that zone of like a little bit shy, a little more into
mhm,
his like base, but he found his way into sports. He loves sports now,
mhm,
watching and all of that, but he was through baseball cards. Like he just
mhm,
found them and loved the stats. And it was fascinating to see him enter this whole arena. And now he's become so comfortable
mhm.
socially with other kids because he loves arguing about who's the goat and what about this team and that team. And like as much as him and his brother go on and on about LeBron or MJ or whatever,
Mhm,
that it's just like you're saying, it's the engagement. And I love
mhm,
when fans say, "Oh, I don't like Absolute Batman as much as Absolute Wonder Woman," or "I really like this," but great. Like, you know,
mhm,
I'm love that you love Absolute Wonder Woman, or even I love Ultimate Spider-Man, but great. I'm happy
mhm,
the engagement is what you're looking for. When they're disengaged or it feels like you can skip it or you don't feel passionately about it, like
mhm,
that's when you're really in trouble. And that's the kind of writing and stuff that we're pushing back against internally is that like again, that lack of urgency. We want you to feel like you get one shot. Imagine it's your one shot. It's your one arc you get to do. What is that then? Like, do that one thing that if you left it on the shelf, you would be proud of that. Like, swing for the fence. That's it. Don't do the thing that's like, I kind of want to do this to get to another thing, to get to another thing. Like, you got to go in there and be like, this is the point at the fence, point at the out, like, see, I'm not the most baseball. I am like trying point at the outfield and swing for the home run,
Well, that's fine. I've got like "Lose Yourself" Eminem lyrics going in my head right now. So
right? Yes. Yeah. That's my generation of, exactly. So there are all these things we're going to try and do. Like, in the back of the comic, there'll be a bracket, like a Final Four bracket with the 32 champions that are in it. And we're going to do a thing where the story that gets closest to it will come to a signing and giveaways and special covers and all that kind of fun stuff. That's like, we're going to do a wild card, which we're going to do it probably at New York, where we'll have a voting thing, and you could maybe vote somebody back in or vote somebody in that's not in it, and then they'll play a role in issue 4 if I can get that together in time. But yeah.
Votes are difficult these days, though, because you got to do them across so many platforms and coordinate the results.
That's why I was like, what if we just have a box at New York?
Yeah.
like just like an
a
box
actual physical.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if you go to New York and you go to the DC booth, maybe you just like get to do a ballot and like put it in there, and that's it. Because otherwise, they were talking about the logistics of like, well, we could do it on our Reddit or we could do it on our Discord, and I was like,
No, because
really complicated.
then you get different like winners on different platforms, and then they're sold. So like physically, it's probably the best.
Yeah, right. I feel like it's like the physical ballot. You're there. If you come there and you want to vote, there'll be like a voting thing, and even characters that don't exist in it yet, they could come in from. There's a way to work them in, so it really will be like, go vote if you want. I mean, I still remember voting for Jason Todd to die as a kid from a payphone at 23rd Street.
Why were you a hater?
Well, no, but that's the weird thing. And then I went up to my house, my apartment in Waterside, and got another court, came down and voted against myself, voted to cancel out my vote so that he would live. And then I was like, I wash my hands of this. Like, I like literally voted for him to die and then to live. So I was useless, but I remember loving waiting for that. So without making it that, I mean, you should have seen their faces in the sales department, Sasha, when I was like, let's do a call in, like, to see who will win this. And it was like, no. So I was like, okay, maybe something, scale it down. Like a wild card that comes into one issue that, will be one of the bad guys that could actually win if people, we'll see. But I mean, like, something scalable that works and makes people feel engaged. And that's the fun. You're just trying to, allowing yourself to be corny with it too. That's, I don't know. Some of it is that, like, I think
embracing
I've never
cringe, as they say.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm pretty cringy. Like, I'm okay. I'm a dad. Like, I'm not at the cool kids table in that way. As much as I love, I feel like I've gotten a pretty good passport at this point to be able to move among the whole ecosystem of comics pretty freely without a lot of baggage, So, like, for example, like, I have my Vertigo friends who used to make fun of me a lot for like going out there and being a juggling bear for Batman and doing corny, videos on Twitter, and that they're not wrong. Like, it is cringy and it is like 100% there, but I try and keep it honest about, like, I've never been shy about trying to shill or promote stuff that I'm really proud of, and it's okay if, like, I'm the butt of the joke if the book does well, I don't want it to be about me. I think early in my career, I probably was more wrapped up in my own ego about, like, trying to make a name for myself and being more visible myself and what I could bring to the table and that stuff in those first early years. Cause it's just comes with the territory. But at this point, it's not about me at all. I don't mind being more like a clown out there if it's going to sell Absolute Martian Manhunter or if it's going to get more people aware of.
Well, I don't think it's clownery. I think it's genuine. And I think there's been over the last few years leading up to now, there's been a bit of a cynicism about being authentic and genuine in that kind of way of going out and being earnest. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I'm starting to see people, I think, embrace the idea that you can go out and be genuine, and like that's fine, and that kind of enthusiasm isn't something to shy away from. And my chair is falling, which is great. So
Oh no.
it's
the
propped up. It's real bootleg in here.
But that's what I was attracted to with like your channel from the beginning, is like you care about comics, you're enthusiastic, you do deep dives into subjects people want. There's a like swimming in it in a fun way that isn't, and again, like if what I'd say to aspiring creators is just it's being genuine. And this is my like I am again, like I'm corny, like I am a dad, I am all these, I am not Batman, you know what I mean? I wish I was cooler than I am, but ultimately like I'm very, very, very proud of the work I've been involved in comics, and different
Mhm.
and the things I've tried to do creatively myself. But my comfort zone has become, after a lot of years of being really shy, to be the opposite. To be, I'll go out and yell about it
Mhm.
if I like it. Whereas if your comfort zone really is, I don't want to do any of that. Like I was just I'm become like super, super close with Dennis Camp.
Mhm.
And he has a different comfort level with that, where it's much more a different
Mhm.
comfort level about being in front of a camera and being
Mhm.
out there.
Mhm.
And that's what I was like, then don't not do, just do exactly what you feel comfortable with. Be you. And some people have no desire for social media whatsoever and do not want
Mhm.
to promote it at all. Like, I was just talking to Greg Rucco because he's doing, he's been back doing stuff with
Yes.
DC, and that's his comfort zone. And he's like, I know you probably want me to do X, Y. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, no one's trying to, because it comes off as false. But don't not do the thing that you're naturally inclined towards because you're afraid it'll come off as, not cool or corny
Mhm.
or pushing too hard or whatever it is. Like we
Mhm.
all have our lanes. And if whatever the maximum level of
Mhm.
push you have in your comfort zone, do that thing. Like, and try and find a way that you feel comfortable
Mhm.
with promoting your book. That might literally just be calling retailers and telling
Mhm.
them and sending it early. It might be doing live streams, or it might be whatever. But so for
Mhm.
me, like, I do hope it comes across like that I'm sincere, Josh is sincere. It might not resonate with you what we're selling or that stuff, but we really believe in it. And I believe
Mhm.
deeply in it as a symbol of what DC is trying to do and becoming right now, which I'm very proud to be a part of.
No, it's definitely an exciting time, and just everything is just everywhere. And in regards to, promoting it, getting it out there, I say every little bit helps, because whenever I talk about something, whatever it is, there's always at least one person who's like, I didn't hear about that. And so it's like,
Yeah.
as long as, and maybe that person will then go and check it out and spread the word. It's that kind of thing. I feel that comics works really well on a kind of word of mouth kind of basis, because I don't know. I've never found the big marketing pushes to be all that coordinated. I'm always still finding out about stuff late. So
Me too. And like half the time it's like stuff I'm supposed to know and like whatever. And I'm like, wait, what? Like when you said crossover, and I was like, eh. But and then I was like, oh, I know what you mean. But I know, just like it's really hard to assume that people know, like, cause we swim in this
Mhm.
ecosystem a lot, but like trying to reach people that have like a really sort of peripheral knowledge of it is the goal. And to be able to be like, look, this is a story. If you've ever wondered which superhero is going to win,
Mhm.
and maybe bad guys are in it too, we're not supposed to know, but maybe like all of your favorite DC characters, like trying to get the heart of Darkseid to become the King Omega,
Mhm.
fight cards, all of that. Like if you've ever loved smashing your toys together, this is an easy one for you. This is a fun one. And again, it's got a big heart, but ultimately it's designed to make you feel comfortable in the comic store, to want to go, to talk to your friends. That's what Absolute
Mhm.
Batman. I mean, Absolute Batman is clearly like it's a really personal book.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can't believe they're letting us get away with everything we're getting away with it. But
Yeah, there was
we're
an
really,
eyeball this month.
I know. Wait, well, it gets like the Joker issue is coming, and that one is really rough. The cover just came in. They're gonna release it in like a week, I think, but
Mhm.
it's crazy. And then we have Catwoman coming, and I won't say where, but Harley Quinn is coming into the book really soon, and Dick
Mhm.
Grayson comes back in a really big way. So we have Nick sat here with me in the office, and we planned out our whole, not the entire series, but we
Mhm.
planned out the entire sort of series such as we see it right now. And it
Mhm.
was a good 35 to 40 issues, and we just
Mhm.
laid it out. So
Mhm.
now I'm in my own head about it, where I'm like, absolute Batman. But with that, like, again, being able to create something and seeing people be like, this is leading me towards Grant Morrison's like amazing run on Batman or Dark Knight Returns or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
That's really fun. And the Absolute line, I should say, we have a lot of plans as well. We're bringing the villains together in September in Absolute
Mhm.
Evil, which will be really fun. It has a big twist. Cut 2 big twists in it. and then in October we'll announce the new books officially, the couple books for the line
Mhm.
that we're doing. And then we have Wonder Woman and Batman meeting in January, and then we have some more fun developments later. And in Absolute Batman, yeah, we have Scarecrow is coming in issues like 7. We have 14 is the end of the Bane one.
Mhm.
15 and Catwoman shows up in 13. 14 is the big finale of the Sark. 15
Mhm.
is the Joker issue, the big special where you learn
Mhm.
all about him. And then 6, and we have an Arkham special we're going to do then too. And
Oh, nice.
then, yeah, it's really fun. It's like all these things you didn't know about Arkham Asylum, and like introduction of some of the characters that they're keeping trapped in there. And then February is where we're going to dive into some really fun Scarecrow stuff.
Mhm.
So it's like full blast, no breaks, all gas,
Mhm.
no brakes, like no slowing down. There's like I feel bad. It's almost like the opposite of there's no decompression. It's all like
It is
but
very rapid, I have to say.
this next issue slows down, but it's still, I don't know. I have this fear of losing people when we have so much stuff we're excited about coming. So
Mm.
if I ever err, I'm sure I err on the side of like, too much too soon. But I'd rather be on that side, I guess. And I feel pretty good about the way we've paced it out. I think it's healthy. I
Mhm.
think, we'll see.
It's
But
certainly
Nick,
maximalist, but I think that helps it stand out a bit, and it's meant to feel different also because it is part of a different line, so I think in some ways that helps it because it gives some of a different energy to it.
yeah, well, all the books are like that. I love the way that they, like, for us, I mean, part of the goal, there's so much to do. Like, we're really trying to
Mhm.
flip the whole mythology where Batman, you'll see like his friends. I don't want to give away what happens to his friends, but like at the
Mhm.
end of 11, there's like the obvious, like something
Yeah.
bad is coming for his friends. But eventually, like what we're building towards is this reversal where Bruce traditionally is against the Arkham villains and Harley and them, and with
Mhm.
the characters you expect. And here, trying to build towards something where Bruce's Bat family is the characters that he's usually up against, and
Mhm.
the Joker is the one that has, the characters and the kind of whole context of a cave and all this, that it's actually like a silo, like a bunker where,
Mhm.
millionaire thing under a manor where, he has all of the kind of resources and the characters that you would assume are around Bruce, at least for a
Mhm.
little while. So
Mhm.
yeah, I like want to spoil everything because I'm so excited about it, but
Excited about it?
yeah, it's really I've never been as confident about a book, just in terms of my love of what we're doing. Like
Mhm.
Batman, I never had any moment to plan just because from the moment we were on it, we never got a break. So there
Mhm.
was we never got a second, but with Nick, we've had a lot of time to think about it. And so
Mhm.
you can sit back and look at it and be like, this is the whole plan. Like he put up all these, I have this like glass thing on my
Mhm.
wall over here, and he just covered it. My neighbor made it. It's a crazy painting
Mhm.
from a window, but he covered
Mhm.
it in pages of just like of each issue is a page, and just
Mhm.
so it was really fun.
What made you decide to have Batman meet Wonder Woman first?
Because she feels like the one in this universe that would reach out. Like she feels like the nexus point, because Batman is just so maniacal about
Yeah.
Gotham. and Superman is really hunted and on the run and figuring himself out. And Wonder Woman is the one who's sort of the searcher, the curious one about the world and that. So it just felt like the natural point. And Kelly had a
Mhm.
really good idea about why she comes to Gotham for this
Mhm.
supernatural kind of threat in this way, but also, sort of seeks out Batman in a way, and then how Batman would respond. Because it's his
Mhm.
first encounter with like someone who's like a god being. He's never seen anything like that. And
Mhm.
so what would he ask? What would he want? And
Mhm.
then Nick's like, I want him to get to ride that horse. I'm like, oh, like, I don't want him to hold that sword. I'm like, that sword's really big, dude. I don't know. So the fun, and then we let like Hayden and Nick got to talk and just sort of, what do you want to draw? There's a lot of that too. Like, what badass
Mhm.
thing do you want to draw? And it's coming out really well. I'm really, I mean, again, Kelly is,
Mhm.
a fantastic collaborator, and we've been friends a long time, so it's a lot of fun. And Jason is great too. Jason is really like has a very big plan for Absolute Superman, and really has like a track he's on. That's why we felt these two first, and then you'll see a
Mhm.
surprise meeting in Superman with another character soon. But
Mhm.
it starts to really sort of coalesce in next year in
Mhm.
26. Not with the
Has
main. We have no plans, like, just so everyone knows, because I know
there's
with
always
the
yeah, there's
all
always, like, scuttlebutt about, like, they're coming, it's absolute crisis, and then it's all gonna be over.
It won't be over. Like, what I'd say is, like, we do have big events planned,
Mhm.
that we have to figure out for, like I said, like a third touch point
Mhm.
for 27, 28. But what we've really decided firmly, like, is that none of that
Mhm.
has to affect or do anything to the existing universe such as it is, because we're all
Mhm.
having such a good time. And already, like what I just told you, about 35 issues takes you past that
Mhm.
point. Like, so,
Yeah.
there's no danger for anybody of, like, if we did a thing where we have to bring the characters into a space, which I don't even know that we are, but like,
Mhm.
I know what has to happen. I know the story, and Josh knows it, for what the main universe
Mhm.
heroes have to do to try and fight Darkseid, but I don't know yet how involved we'll make the Absolute Universe. It's really
Mhm.
based on what the creators feel comfortable with at that time,
Mhm.
and I know also on the other side of that event, like, we're not closing down the Absolute Universe in any
Mhm.
tangible. There's no plans to do anything like that, unless all of a
Mhm.
sudden, to be like. But honestly, if suddenly all the books drop off a cliff, like, we won't have a
Mhm.
choice if sales wise things just go away. But
Mhm.
right now, it's the last thing anyone at DC would even let us do.
Mhm.
So, we have plans to take us for at least another couple years past the point of where we would try and get the
Mhm.
Starkside saga kind of together for its big climax.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
I
it's
think
not
it's good. I
designed to
think
to
people are
end.
kinda getting more comfortable, with the idea that things are sticking around, which I think is a good thing. I think the crisis thing is just a meme because DC has a history of crises. So
Yeah, no, this one, like, and this one, just to be very clear, like,
Mhm.
KO is not something that does any damage or affects the Absolute Universe in any way.
Mhm.
I won't say that there isn't like surprising fun touch points and
Mhm.
things that happen that I think will really excite
Mhm.
people, that show how these stories are sort of intertwined in their own way,
Mhm.
um, in big, violent, fun ways. But that, again, I'm very protective. I promise you that, of the Absolute Universe, as a place that you guys can go and enjoy your books without interruption. So, an
Mhm.
interference from anything else. We don't want to take that for granted. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but it will, like, it is about how these two universe, KO does, Darkseid is coming over from that universe, having drained its power to
Yeah.
come here. And so there is a factor of, like, what is that? How do the main universe
Mhm.
characters, like, learn? And I don't want to give it away, but,
Yeah.
like, you'll see. But again,
Mhm.
no one's rushing to do anything that will, if you're loving the Absolute books, don't worry. Like, just please,
Mhm.
like, there's no close coming. There's no closure coming. There's no interruption coming. Don't worry about
Mhm.
it. It's all good.
So you seemed a bit surprised when I mentioned the crossover thing. Are you working on any of the DC Marvel stuff or like
I am. I'm doing one of the backups with Josh and
Mhm.
James. It's I think it was announced. It's
Are you Doctor Strange and
yeah,
Constantine?
Doctor
Yeah.
Strange and Constantine. Yeah, James pitched a thing, and I was like, we have to do that together. And
Mhm.
we did all the metal stuff together. So the three of us getting to work together is a blast. And obviously Hayden is a beast, and I love Hayden to
Mhm.
death. So yeah, it's really fun, and just to see what they have planned for that, and there's more plans for that stuff too that are really fun. So it's Marvel DC stuff. So
Mhm.
there, as long as people go out and enjoy it and are buying them, I think they'll continue to try and do them. So
Mhm.
I'm excited about it. Like whatever, again, it's whatever gets people into stores and happy about these
Mhm.
comics and introduces them to the whole ecosystem and the whole library of them. So
Are
yes, I
retailers
am doing
seeing
it.
like a surge up in like people coming and stuff?
That's what I mean. My store, like the people I talk to, a
Mhm.
pretty big sample size of retailers,
Mhm.
and there's the refrain that I hear is that
Mhm.
people seem excited about.
Mhm.
They got new readers from Ultimate Universe, GI Joe, Transformers, and Absolute Universe, so they do see a lot of new readers, especially like weirdly like there's a lot of success, a lot of talk and buzz about those books on TikTok, which I didn't
Mhm.
even realize, but there is like I guess they're a lot more memeable, like the Absolute and Ultimate books, but they also like they're bringing in a bunch of young readers, which is awesome.
Mhm.
So I have heard that from retailers, and I've heard that they feel more listened to, I think, by Marvel and DC and Image.
Mhm.
I'll speak for DC just because whatever, but we have a lot more conversations with them, which they seem, I think, happy about. And I don't know, I think my guys, when I go to cons too, I mean, it seems like people are more excited than maybe than usual, which is my hope.
Mhm.
It's like I know everybody is like, I think there were just some fat years, where there were
Mhm.
years where there was like, and I'm sure I'm complicit in this too, but there were a bunch of years where there was a lot more sort of supportive money in comics from the speculator market, where you could do
Mhm.
special variant covers, and there was streaming was a really big deal, where
Mhm.
people wanted to get the first issue of a comic that had already sold for a TV show because streaming was so big. And
Yeah.
so there were a lot more levers you could pull to make sure your comic like did well,
Yeah.
even if it was a smaller comic, or even if it was something that was not a traditionally kind of commercial
Mhm.
comic in that way. And a lot of those levers have gone away. And so it's a trickier and more more competitive and different kind of market now, where
Mhm.
I feel like it just brings out a lot of strengths and weaknesses. And so I think retailers are seeing the books that embrace that challenge really do better than they expected. And I think
Mhm.
they're also seeing, books that maybe fall back on some of the older blueprints where you had a longer run before people started dropping the book because money was not as tight
Mhm.
as it is right now. Like you're seeing a lot of that stuff kind of winnow,
Mhm.
so again, I'd always rather it be like, I wish it was more flush with money and everybody was, so I'm not wishing like any hard times or enjoying that. It's more just reacting to it and trying to
Mhm.
realize if this is the market you're in, you've got to meet it. And it can bring out a lot of really big, exciting strengths in the medium as well, if you kind of
Mhm.
embrace some of those challenges. So
No, it's
I
interesting
think
seeing the return of some of, like, '90s things, like, I was too young to actually, like, pick up some of those things, but I'm seeing, like, the cards and the bags and all of those kinda things. It's interesting because people online tend to like to roast those things. I'm like, "Yeah, but I see people picking them up, and, like, Exquisite Corpses is always gone by the time I get there." So, it's like people are definitely responding to it in some
that's
way.
what I mean. Like I just went to like, so we have semi-season tickets to the Yankees because of, like I told you, my
Mhm.
kid got like crazy into baseball. And like the days that you will not, like you don't want to go, or the bobblehead or the giveaway days. And it
Yeah.
will be like the other day was a Hamilton cap. It was
Mhm.
Hamilton Yankees crossover night, and the lines to get in were insane. And what you realize is like you can knock the stuff and be like, oh, whatever, but people love it, and that's great. Like
Mhm.
enjoy the collectability of it, enjoy that it reminds you of something you loved, enjoy that, you know it's enjoy the corniness of it if you just want to get a weirdo Justice League card. And so I think there is like a re-embrace of this notion of like, it's not about like being worried about selling out or about over commercializing it if it's sincere about what it is in that way. So again, nobody wants to you want to make sure you're giving everybody hopefully more than they're paying for. But that said, I think you do see, like you're saying, I think you see a real re-embrace of some of the kind of fun, gimmicky shamelessness of the 90s, which we all loved. I still have a lot of my weirdo hologram cards and covers and all of that, so I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing or a bad sign. I just think, again, everybody find your comfort zone and lean into it. I have some students and friends that are like, I want to do all these gimmicks and this for my comic. And it's like, it just feels unnatural for the thing you're doing. You don't, it's a quiet comic about, friendship, but it's like, I want to do holographic glow in the dark. And it's like, no, you don't want to do that. But, for Noctera or a book that's like, sure, but not for if I was doing After Death, I wouldn't do that or whatever. So it's trying to find your level, trying to find what feels sincere for the book. James is so good at that. Yeah.
It takes time because it's the same with creating content, because you're also always seeing what everybody else is doing too. And sometimes, especially if they're in their comfort zone, it looks really great and awesome and cool. And so it's like, wow, that looks great. But part of that is because that is their zone. And so it's like, once you find yours, then it will look the same to other people, which is something.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think you just sort of, you figure it out, where you're, what I tell the students in the class is always try and find the most honest or sincere way of communicating with the community that you think would, you're really trying to reach for this thing, that would like it, that you want to connect with the most in that method, whatever it is, do that. That might just be going to bookstores. It might just be, or it might be full court press, everything, and making a weird video. That's okay too. Whatever it is, but it's okay to just be you in the promotion of your thing, and that. So, because it is a tough market. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but again, I think that can really bring out the best sometimes in, in some kind of, in some ways, as much as I wish it wasn't that type of market. It is a challenge that if you meet it in a certain way, things can overperform. You can find a lot of success in it if you sort of figure out a way to be really straightforward about what you're doing.
It can force different creative solutions too, because you kind of have to think outside the box when there is so much noise. It really forces you to think about things in a different way.
Yeah, it does. For example, we're doing one of the crossovers in our series we're doing a series called Night Fight, which was a title everybody always wanted to do for 10 years and nobody knew how to do it, about Batman, just Batman fighting everybody. And then we were like, Night Fight, what's that? And then it was well, it'll be the fights that Batman has in the competition. And it was and we were in that zone. And then Josh and I were talking, and it was what's the thing what do you want to see? If you were a kid, what would you want to see? And it's Batman versus the Joker. Well, you've seen that, there's plenty of that. And it's Batman versus the Batman versions of all the Robins. Who would Jason Todd be if he gets to be Batman? Who would Damian be now past Batman 666? Because he's had other experiences. If he got to be Batman, who would Dick Grayson be if he got to be Batman longer than he did last time? And what if he goes up against them, his children as Batman, other Batman? And then I was oh, that I would pay to see. That's going to be fun. And then Dan Mora was I like that idea. I'll do that. And so it's that constant trying to figure out, not just what will do the job, but what is the elevated version of that you would go to the store and be I will really want this. I would want to read that. I'm I'm an old man, and I'm love the idea of I would totally pay to see Batman go up against Tim Drake Batman, who's his age in this sort of level of the battle, and see what Tim did to Gotham. What does that look like? And be
I think it's important to tap into that kind of youthful energy and to never lose it, because it's you always need to have new people coming in and have them be excited about what's going on and what's potentially coming. And I think it's always important to remember that, especially for younger people. A lot of these things are the first times, because it's easy
Yeah.
when you've read so many things to be like, been there, seen it. But it's like, not everybody's been there and seen it
Yeah.
yet. And also, in what way? Because you can still do it in a different way that might be unique, just because of changes in storytelling conventions or just time periods, advances in technology. There's so many different things.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. It's always somebody's first experience with it, and each time is new if you bring something personal to it, and
Hmm.
that's why it's like this to us was like, okay, we're not going to get to do this again. It's a big fight. What are the fights you want to see, and how do you? So I'll give you like an example. Was like,
Hmm.
this is again spoiling stuff, but like for like the uh the fight month, it was like not just who's going to fight, but like what's a fun way to do that so it's not just one fight. Do you do
Hmm.
2 out of 3 where you can fight, and then if you lose you respawn, and you can respawn as whatever version of yourself you think will win, and
Hmm.
then they can too, and then it's 2 out of 3. So if you're young Batman, old Batman, whatever, like what, but you don't know what
Yeah.
your opponent's going to do. So trying to figure that out of like what makes a really fun comic, not just like, oh,
Hmm.
smash them together, but like what if they get to really go at each other in this surprising, shocking, interesting way too, that gets it how they see
Hmm.
themselves, and that. So it was like trying to take each piece of it and make it worth your money, make it worth your
Hmm.
time. I'm
Yeah.
writing I'm writing one of them, the fun one.
Hmm.
I was like, I want that one. So there's one that's I was like, and you'll see right away, which it's like what I would gravitate towards. So it'll be fun. But yeah, we have all this stuff. So we have like KO one comes out the first week of
October.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the first week, but it's probably going to sell out again. Like we've been really lucky with the absolute stuff. This is in that zone. Like,
Hmm.
so the last day to order it, if you want one of these blind bags that might have sketches in it, has the special covers or any of that, the
Hmm.
last day to order that is this coming Monday, the first. And
Hmm.
then the last day to order the issue itself, like any copy of it, is
Hmm.
the following Monday, the 8th. And if you don't
Hmm.
order it and it sells out, you'll have to wait a month or whatever it is. So if you're out there, this is me absolutely shilling, but it is the truth. I'm not trying to be like, we have had really good luck with everything selling out, and they are preparing for a sellout on it. They already have a second printing cover like ready.
Hmm.
So please like go order it from your local store before Monday the 8th. And if you want a blind bag, before Monday the 1st. So like now. And and we have Fight Month. We have Night Fight coming in November, which is Batman versus all his children as
Hmm.
Batman. And we have like a prelude issue that kind of, if you haven't been reading all the books and you want to get like caught up before it starts, that comes out right before it's beautiful. It's written by Josh. So yeah, we're getting ready for it, and it's also
Hmm.
compact. That's the other thing I'd just say
Hmm.
is like, it's not 12 issues with a million tie-ins. It's literally
Hmm.
five. It's 5 issues, and you can read just those 5 issues and like nothing else. Or if you want to be like fights in December,
Yeah.
awesome, read all those. If you want to be like, I want to read everything, you can read. There's tie-ins to some of the books where some of the characters that decide they do not want to be a part of this and have other missions, like they're like, we have to figure out a different way to beat Darkseid.
Hmm.
Flash feels that way. The Titans are protecting Earth while the rest of the
Hmm.
characters go into this tournament. Pick up those. They're really well done. So yeah, there's a lot, but it's also like really strategic, where we didn't want
Hmm.
to interrupt anything that people are enjoying. We didn't want to force you to buy anything. It's really like, you could literally read just five issues, or you could read, I think the maximum is probably, I don't know, like 15 to 20. So it's not
Hmm.
huge,
Hmm.
you know?
It's saying something that's saying that that's not huge. It's true. But 'cause
Well, that's like if you buy everything, like all the satellites, like if you bought everything that had anything to do with it. Metal was a lot bigger, is all I'll say. Metal was like, Metal had like the evil Batman tie-ins, and then it tied into multiple series, and it had one-shot specials, and it had extra mini-series. That one was like, a good like third bigger than this. We
Mhm.
wanted to keep this really compact. So and really modular. Whereas this one,
Mhm.
again, it's really up to you. We want you to be able to decide what you want to buy and buy into, but we're
Mhm.
proud of everything coming out with it.
Mhm.
So I
No,
think
I
it'll be
think it's
good.
yeah, I think it sounds like fun. And I wanna thank you for finding the time and taking some time to come and chat about it.
I love coming. I'm like, I mean, I feel like we're friends now. I like chatting to you off the air about like kids and comics and everything too. So it's always a pleasure, Sasha. I'll be here anytime, as long as I just always worry your audience. I don't want them to get like completely sick of me and not want me around, and that's okay too. That will go away, I promise. But as long as people ever want me to come on, or I'll be here in a second. I love the show. I listen all the time, watch all the time. My kid watches now too, which is fun. My 18-year-old. So yeah, no, I really appreciate the time and you making the time when I know your life is really busy too.
No, thank you, and I'm sure everybody's gonna be excited to check it out.
Thanks. We'll have fun. It'll be good.
Thanks so much to everyone who made it to the end. If you're in a position to pre-order blind bags or anything like that, well, today is the day, time of recording. For others, let me know if you're going to be checking out DCKO, and thanks so much as always for taking some time out of your day to spend discussing comics with me. Thanks so much to Scott for taking the time to discuss DCKO and more with us. There will of course be more videos coming soon, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.